What's up? Let's talk about analog intervention. Let's talk about what makes the people that you so look up to when you hear their tracks, and you like, damn, my shit don't sound like that. My shit ain't hitting like that. Versus the people who can be just in the box and can just use plugins and make it work. So it's possible if you know what you're doing. But at the same time, we definitely not going to sit up here and say that plugins in a computer can compare to the capabilities of what something can do with the original electrical signal. We definitely not finna sit up here and debate about that. Because if we debating about that, then y'all bullshitting. A plugin can never, ever, and listen to me, for those in the back who want to hear me loud and clear, a plugin can never, ever fuck with the real version of the plugin. The real hardware version, it'll never compare. It'll never compare. They can do so many manipulations and so many different things and so many different tweaks. There's so much shit that goes on when you have the original electrical signal that's so different than having the printed image of an audio signal. It's two different things. The electrical signal of something is completely different than its printed audio. It might sound the same. It might sound the same, but it's two different things. It's two totally different stages. Two totally different pieces of material. Two totally different things. You can't even compare it. So to sit here and to say, hey, these plugins that sell for $39.99 can do the same thing that a piece of hardware can? No. The only way you saying that is that you never had the hardware to even use it, to even know that it's different than the plugins. Or B, you just don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That's it. You either never had it, or you're trying to overreach, and you just don't know what the hell you're talking about. You just trolling. Because, like, to say that if you use a CLA style compressor, an optical compressor, or LA two-way style compressor, or a CLA, style compressor, if you're using waves, and you use the real version of it and the real hardware version of it, it don't compare. It reacts totally different. You get a totally different reaction. Not saying that you don't get any type of magic out of the plug-in version, but ain't nobody finna sit up here and tell me that it's the same thing, because it's not. It's used for two totally different tastes. When you use it in the digital world, it's used for a certain taste. We use it in the analog world, use it for a certain taste, and it's two different tastes. And the only reason why I know that is because I use both pretty much. So same thing with a VCA compressor, in the computer, out of the computer, the same thing. Same thing with a FET compressor. You know what I'm saying? It's close, but at the same time, it's just not the same, because every device is different and every device has some type of mojo to it. And you only know this if you've actually used the gear. I can't say this to people who haven't used the gear. If you haven't used the gear and you sitting up here telling me and saying that I'm lying, you're going to jump in the fucking comments. You don't know what the fuck you talking about. You haven't used it. You're naive to go use the actual stuff and to get the actual real experience to know what the hell a lot of us is talking about, not just me. Because it's a lot of us on here saying the same thing. It does not compare to the hardware. Not saying that you don't need to have both, but to say that you don't need any type of analog intervention when you're actually tracking out with your gear, or even when you're doing a send and return. If you want to do a sender, if you want to have, I'm gonna give y'all a tip. If you want to have FL Studios and you want to do a send and return, and you got your DAW, and you go out and you got a little coin, and you spend about $2,500, $3,000. You know, I'm being dead up realistic. So don't be coming to me saying, "Oh, the money is too high." Just listen up. You spend about $3,000 on an interface with 32 ins and 32 outs, and it might be DB25 style on the back, but you'll learn how to use those. Just buy you some DB25 cables, in and out. Then you'll have 32 in, 32 out. From there, you can run 32 in, 32 out like a send and a return when you running in the DAW, out of the DAW from your FL Studios or whatever. So if you want to say you got a kick and you want to you got a certain technique you do with one or two different pieces of 500 gear or one or two pieces of 19-inch rack gear, you can run it in and out and put that taste on your kick and snare and just print it and just have it in the computer. So you can, it's different ways to use analog intervention and get some taste out of it. There's so many tools out there to reach and grab and use. And if you're tech savvy enough, you can do any fucking thing. So there's no fucking excuses. So anybody that's gonna come in the comments and make excuses where, oh, well, I don't have $3,000. Well, if you want to come in this analog world, let me just go ahead and say this to you right now. Yeah, you're gonna be spending a small 1-year college tuition. Name a medium university in your city and see how much a 1-year college tuition is. That's about how much money you probably need to spend on getting some analog gear. And if you're not willing to spend that much, then why the fuck you even trying to do this shit? You know what I'm saying? If you just trying to be in the box and you just trying to buy plugins, then so be it. Hey, more power to you. You got my blessing. But at the same time, don't be coming at other people because they got analog gear and they shit sound louder than yours, or it might sound more dynamic, or it might have more stereo separation, or it might just have more shit to it and you can't figure it out, and you frustrated, you mad you can't get your shit to that level. Don't be fucking mad. It's because you ain't got no analog intervention. You ain't using the right proper gear in between whatever you trying to do, whether you in the box or out of the box. But if you out of the box, you definitely need it. You definitely need it. If you got any modern day MPC or even any older MPC, you need some type of analog intervention, and you need to learn and know what analog intervention you need. There are so many tools out there. There's the company SPL. They make tools they make 500 gear that you can buy, that you can use, you know what I'm saying, individually, and they make 19-inch rack gear that you can use on individual stereo tracks or the master track. But all of this shit that I'm naming has high headroom. So when you run it from gear to gear to your interface, you are running the sound at its maximum level. That is the grand goal, is to gain stage in a way that you can get that signal to a level to where it sounds grand and magical to you. And it's weird to say that, and I know a lot of people probably gonna jump down my goddamn throat and say, oh man, he said weird and he said big and magical, whatever, and I'm just making shit up, but I'm not. It might sound like a bunch of mojo, like I'm trying to sell magic in a box, but I'm not. I'm not trying to sell magic in a box. This shit is not magic in the box when you start using it. When you start knowing how to use it to correct certain things before you go into the computer, because that's the mission, is the analog intervention. And analog gear is used to do one or two things. You either doing one or two things to a sound. You either correcting something that needs to be corrected, that's an issue, that's a problem, or you either adding taste to something. It's either or. You either correcting something that's not there, or something that's an error, or something that needs to be fixed, or you're adding to the overall taste and the overall sound. You either doing one or two things, and that's what the analog intervention is supposed to do. It's supposed to do those two things before you go into the computer, well enough to where you get it into the computer, you can damn near use stock plugins to do the rest of the work if you wanted to. You need to get your shit to the level, if you listening to me and you interested in to having analog gear, you need to build your shit slowly and learn the shit that you're gonna buy. Go to Google, type in the device that you want to buy, type in PDF and type in owner's manual, and before you drop $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7,000 on something, or even $500 on something, read the whole owner's manual, learn all the specs, learn if you really want it, learn what it can do, learn what it can't do, learn the shit that people have problems with when they done real reviews on it. I'm talking about people who didn't get paid by the company. Go on YouTube and look at any time the device has failed. That's what you need to do. You need to do your discernment. You need to do your due diligence in picking the damn hardware. But you need to pick the hardware based on what you need, based on what you really want to do, and ask the right questions. You know what I'm saying? I can't drop every freaking piece of gem on here. Every now and then you'll hear me say certain things and say certain, how to correct this. If this is wrong, then you probably need to look into this. But at the same time, you need to look for the answers yourself and find the answers through getting the knowledge first, instead of spending the money to try to find an answer. Find the answer first, then go out and buy the solution. And when you do that and you figure out all those things that you want to correct inside of your sound before it goes into the computer, trust me, you'll thank me later. You'll be going into the computer, you'll be like, damn, I don't even need to put no freaking plugins on anything. I don't even run my CPU high anymore. My shit I don't even use a lot of space. You can thank me later. So, yes. The question is, do you need analog intervention? Yes. If you want to compete with the people who have analog intervention and they have analog gear and they going into the computer and they sound way better than you already going into the computer, then you hustling backwards. Because you're trying to correct pieces of sound that don't even need to be corrected at that level of the process. It should have already been corrected once you got it laid out in the computer. So, yeah. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Holla at you. Peace.